Hello and welcome to Menu Talk with Pat and Bret. I'm your co-host, Bret Thorne, Senior Food and Beverage Editor of Nation's Restaurant News and Restaurant Hospitality.
And I'm Pat Copey, Senior Menu Editor at Restaurant Business. Welcome all.
And nice to see you, Pat. I haven't seen you in a couple of days, and we'll get to that in a second, but let's lead off with a new little wrinkle in Valentine's Day promotions. I mean, for years, all of the pizza chains and a number of independent chains independent restaurants have been rolling out heart-shaped pizza. And they want me to write about it. And I'd say, well, but everyone does it and you do it every year and it's not that interesting. But now the donut companies are doing their own thing and there are a bunch of heart-shaped donuts. Why that hasn't been done before or why it's popped up so much this year, I don't know. But definitely the first time Krispy Kreme has done it, and some other chains have joined that bandwagon. And I guess they sell, or they would be doing them.
Right. Well, I think it's a lot. I mean, if you want to give someone a nice gift instead of candy, you can bring them 12 Krispy Kreme donuts that are heart-shaped, and they're filled with all different kinds of, flavors and toppings and sprinkles. So I think it's a fun gift.
I just remembered earlier this week, I swung by Tender Crush for a story. It's a spinoff of Black Tap burgers, which are famous for their crazy shakes. But Tender Crush is their chicken concept that actually started as a virtual brand that they were thinking of rolling out during the pandemic, but then they didn't because New York City dining rooms opened before they rolled it out, and they figured, well, I guess we don't need it. But then they decided actually that they're going to create a brick and mortar restaurant. The first one of which was actually at the Rio Hotel in Las Vegas. But then they expanded their original Black Tap location in Soho and added a Tender Crush to that. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because they are selling tenders in Valentine-shaped boxes, so heart-shaped boxes. So fun. So when I showed up, they were also doing their social media of the boxes. So
yeah, another chicken tender concept.
Yes, but this one also has grilled tenders, which is nice.
Nice.
And a bunch of different sauces. And because their sister company, Black Tap, is famous for its crazy shakes, they have some very nice soft serve frozen custard.
Yum. Well, one of my colleagues, Lisa Jennings, she thinks you and I should do a little tender crawl in Times Square because there are so many fried chicken tender places there now, and there are about 5 within one block. So maybe we can do that someday.
Yeah, we can start at Raising Cane's and go from there. Or maybe
Guy Fieri just opened a place too.
That's right. Guy Fieri opened his thing. Good for him.
Mm-hmm. And then there's Chick-fil-A, of course, and I'm sure there's a KFC around.
Yeah, there has to be.
Yeah. So we should do that someday. Maybe when it gets a little nicer out.
Yeah. Right now, I mean, people don't want to hear it, but we got another 2 months of winter still.
I know. Yeah.
And I don't want to walk around in the cold and slush in Times Square.
No, me neither.
Especially since it doesn't really diminish the crowds. Everybody's there for whatever, and they're going to see their Broadway shows or, get personalized things at the M&M store or whatever. And so it doesn't matter what the weather is, except that I don't want to be there.
Well, a heart-shaped donut might help, but it's also, we talked about the Super Bowl already, but Super Bowl Sunday also happens to be National Pizza Day, which is a coincidence this year.
Why don't they petition the National Whoever Day Committee Association to make Super Bowl Sunday always National Pizza Day?
That's a good idea.
And I find it ludicrous that national days like that work, but they really do. Like National Wing Day is a busy day for Wingstop. I was at a bar in Denver a couple of years ago on National Bourbon Day, and a guy next to me was like, "It's National Bourbon Day. You have to have bourbon." And I said, "Just because it's a national day doesn't mean I need to have bourbon." And he said, "Yes, it does," which just cracked me up. It was a very amusing quip. And I probably did have bourbon because I like bourbon.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could go for a National Bourbon Day over National pizza day, I guess. Well, pizzas are good too.
I like pizza.
Yeah.
And I think we discussed before, the Super Bowl is known for wings, but wings are also the most popular appetizer for pizza.
I know. That's crazy.
And I don't know like why, if you're having pizza, do you also need wings? But it's certainly a very popular combination.
Yeah, definitely.
And Chain should certainly capitalize on that and on National Pizza Day.
And we also wanted to mention a really interesting Subway dinner we went to. It was very, very high end. Subway kind of deconstructed their menu and served it as an immersive 5-course dinner that had very, high. They used all their own ingredients, but the dishes that they served were things you would find in a fine dining restaurant. So we were very impressed by that. It was a lot of fun too.
It was fun. And they did that increasingly trendy, although I haven't seen it that much, sort of immersive dining experience where, you have very high resolution projections on the walls of videos. And so, when Paul Fabre, the corporate chef, was talking about their tomatoes, they showed, massive pictures of the tomatoes. When they were talking about the skipjack tuna, they showed schools of tuna swimming around, 360 angle thing, which is, it's very different from what you get at a normal Subway.
Definitely. And then they also had little vials of scents to smell, different elixirs just to smell before each course. So it would kind of get your senses awakened to what was coming.
Yeah, I remember one was supposed to smell like spinach. It didn't really smell like spinach, but I like the effort. And before the sit-down dinner, they did this whole sort of charcuterie spread with all of their meats and cheeses and crudité and their dips. And, the whole point of the dinner was to say, I know we're Subway, I know we're a 30-some-odd thousand unit chain, but we care about our ingredients and we source them really thoughtfully. I think that actually was borne out in the meal. Specifically, they did a tomato and olives course, and there's only one ingredient that I dislike, and that is raw tomatoes. And it's not a texture thing. It's not psychological. I'm not allergic. I don't like how they taste. So if it's a bad tomato, I don't care. It doesn't have any flavor. I'll eat it. But I actually really like the olive aspect of the course and the croutons. It was very nice. But the tomatoes were gross to me because they were really good tomatoes.
Yeah, they were
just very tomatoey, which it's February. So that's impressive.
Well, they were Wilma tomatoes. So those are the plum tomato looking ones. And they marinated them before. So that always makes them better. But I was really impressed by the tapenade they made from the olives, because the olives come from Morocco and Spain, which is really quite an elevated source for a chain that has 30,000 units, as you said.
Right. Well, I actually got to sit next to a franchisee, a pretty large franchisee. He has 39 locations in central and southern Illinois, and he's an olive oil fanatic. He also owns like a vintage car. The brand is Excalibur from Camelot Motors. He showed it to me. So he's doing well. And he's been a franchisee for like 4 years, but he also buys his own olive oil from Morocco for his own personal use. And he drinks about 4 tablespoons of it a day because it's delicious.
Really?
For you.
Wow.
Interesting chap.
Yeah.
Who is, obviously he's representing Subway, so he had very nice things to say about the brand. Mm-hmm. And especially their purchasing cooperative, which he said delivers really excellent produce. And one reason that Subway is comparatively inexpensive is because their purchasing cooperative, has huge buying power and negotiates good deals.
Mm-hmm. I was also impressed that they dry age their salami. I mean, that's, they really do go the extra mile on a lot of their ingredients. And that's something they've been promoting on their menu the past few years, because they did a giant menu overhaul right after the pandemic ended, and not ended, but like, was petering out. And they introduced all these new chef curated sandwiches and up the quality of their bread and some of the other ingredients that they use. So I think this dinner was sort of, the idea was to show how they're living their mission now.
Well, and obviously this stuff isn't dry aged in the individual locations. It's an off-site, just like the rotisserie chicken, which is cooked in sous vide, is not cooked in sous vide at the locations. It's done off-site, but that's how you maintain consistency and quality.
Cool.
I'm not sure exactly why they threw the dinner. I guess they threw the dinner so that you and I could talk about it. And I know you wrote a story about it, so mission accomplished. Also, so we were there with media, and the next night they were having the same event, but for social media influencers, which the franchisee told me that.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And his daughter, who was with him, did indeed have plans to go to Times Square and get customized M&Ms for each of her 4 kids. So she'll find some time to have fun, which I hope everyone does when they come to New York. It's a fun city.
Well, I think the whole idea of the dinner was to underscore the quality of the ingredients and to talk them up. So, and I haven't looked on social media, but it would be interesting to hear what the influencers said.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I had an interesting interview with Donnie Madia, the managing partner of One Off Hospitality, probably best known as Paul Kahn's restaurant group in Chicago. They have a bunch of locations, and they just launched a catering and events arm. They have a whole new commissary through which they stage their catering, and they've been busy with other things. I mean, a number of the restaurants have had guest appearances in the hit TV series The Bear, including Avec and Public and Quality Meats. So Donnie Madia talked about the catering arm and about that it's good to be on a TV show. I think we all knew that, but still, he had some good insights in that regard, as well as how fine dining is evolving. And at the moment, One Off Hospitality doesn't have any true fine dining restaurants. Blackbird closed a while ago. But with their catering arm, they can recreate fine dining in people's homes. And I thought that was quite an interesting observation. And also the fact that as many of the fine dining restaurants that are opening now exclusively offer tasting menus, and that's because it's so expensive to run a fine dining restaurant that you can control costs better if you do a tasting menu. Really quite similarly, now that I think about it, to catering, where you know what the costs are going to be. You know how many reservations you have, and you can really manage your costs better. So I think anybody interested in one of the most successful restaurant operators in the world would enjoy listening to this interview, and you can do that right now. How you doing, Donnie Madia?
Doing good.
Your job is to, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems that your job is to bring people into a place that makes them feel happy and comfortable, and to give them food and drink that they will enjoy in a pleasant setting with nice staff. That's all super analog. That's as analog as it gets, right?
Make people happy. That's the goal. You nailed it.
Well, thank you. And you got so what's new with One Off Hospitality? You guys, I asked the question, I'm going to let you answer and not step on your words.
Yeah, I think everything's exciting right now. We just launched our catering events arm of our business, and we're excited about that. And we're excited to be in people's homes, not just in our restaurants. We're excited to take it to a different level. Also give us a chance to go back to fine dining. We did 3 parties so far in people's homes, and it was 2 of them in homes, and then 1 in a building's private dining area, which was for Gensler, and it was beautiful. It's just really nice. I love elevated service. not that our restaurants aren't elevated, is Avec and Publican, which just brings me back to my youth of Blackbird and just a different level, which I love.
That's a very interesting observation that I haven't heard before, that in-home catering can very much be fine dining.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's where we excel. Paul's food, plate composition, the way the food looks. You can do a family style or single dishes per guest, and so we love that. We also love wine service and everything about it. So
I heard about a trend that's happening this January, and maybe it's happened previous Januaries, that people are pushing their holiday parties, for example. Companies are pushing their holiday parties past December and into January, which is that something you guys are seeing in Chicago?
I would say I'm getting the thumbs up from our private dining coordinator, Danielle Coughlin, and she, with a big smile on her face, with a thumbs up, that our PDR sales for Avec and others is up in January. I don't have to tell anyone that's a Chicagoan that Q1, snow, cold, ice, probably the most worst quarter of the entire year. Everybody knows that. I always have this kind of like what do people do in Florida when it's like 70, 80 degrees and we're sitting here and it's 8? And people are watching football or they're staying home and ordering pizza. Well, so no, it's a welcome opportunity to serve guests in our private dining rooms, and also cater guests in their homes, which we're really excited about.
Well, and is this a relatively new development pushing things to January? Because it seems to me that restaurants can charge less in January. They can be staffed up. They're not overwhelmed by all the parties that are going on in December.
Well, it's a really good point, Bret. When you think about it, it does take the push. I think everything comes to about the 18th or 19th, and then it drops off a week of Christmas. And so everybody's either rushing to get that holiday party in or that big dinner with a party of 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 people. If they can get that reservation, it just feels a little bit more not rushed or pushed if you move that reservation or that private dining to January, and it's more accessible and there's more dates available, if I may say.
Yeah, so everybody wins.
Everybody wins. Absolutely.
So you've launched a catering arm, a few months ago, right?
Yeah, I think it was back in October. And we've always had this dream and aspirations about having a catering and events arm of our business, because we also always did catering at Big Star, and during the pandemic, it taught us a lesson that our food could travel properly with the right elements of equipment. It could travel and be presented correctly in people's homes. So we learned a lesson there.
And how's it going so far? Sounds like you're getting some business. You're doing some catering.
We are, and we're doing events, and we have a great team of sales or consultants that are going out, cleaning the pavement, calling all of our referrals of 25 years, and really, really working hard to build this business. We're excited.
Obviously there's a lot of talk about restaurant traffic being down everywhere, all over the place. So does this help, make up for some of that? And, when, especially, I guess, in winter in Chicago, when your guests don't necessarily want to go out and eat, you can go in and, set up your chafing dishes or whatever, you provide great meals.
Darren, those are lunches that we're really interested in, and those are dinners. And all the above. Yeah, so lunches play a big role. We did, for 12 years, we did catering out of PQM. And That's a beloved spot for everyone, not just a butcher shop, with all of our home crafted meat production and salumi production. But people cater from all, but we're limited to size of the orders. Now we can really expand those orders. So if we wanted to do like on a bump for like 100 people, no problem. So really excited to expand our size and our capabilities.
Well, a catering tends to be more profitable, right? Than a la carte service?
Yeah, because the thing that you bring home is the food that you're selling on the cost of goods is decreased as well as the labor.
So what? You're how old is your company now? Like 20 years or older? 25?
Yeah, so we opened Blackbird in December of 1907, and then we incorporated one-off hospitality when we had Blackbird of the Publican PQM Private Island Big Star. We created an entity called One-Off Hospitality to manage all of this.
And so why has it taken you so long to develop a catering line? It's like a busy year opening restaurants and
There we go. That's a great question. I truly believe it's all about timing. And what was an office space originally is now turned into this commissary. And you have to build capital and in order to design the space properly and outfit it properly with equipment, we just had to build capital in Unigate.
And so you have dedicated staff for catering now, right? You don't pull from like Publican and PQM and
Yeah, we just hired a catering chef that will do all the menus, all the recipes, and all the orchestration and on everything. Yeah, it's exciting.
As you mentioned before, the idea that you're returning to fine dining, but doing that in people's home, it's quite interesting. So if you're very excited about fine dining, and I think everybody loves Paul Khan's fine dining food and all of your chefs' fine dining food, why not open a fine dining restaurant again?
I'll let you negotiate that with Paul.
Yeah, that's a fair answer. It's hard and difficult to turn a profit.
Yeah, I just read an article I think it was in France that more restaurants are turning towards tasting menus now more than offer. And I think that a bit of elements of those elements of fine dining and tasting is that controlling labor and also controlling food cost of goods based on what you order and what you present. So if you know what every tasty menu is going to, whether it's a prefix 3, everybody loved the prefix at Blackbird for lunch. And if it's $25, you get 3 courses and you're out of there in 45 minutes or an hour and 15. And everybody loved that. And when you think about it, you double that course to 6 or 8 or 10 or 12. And you know what the tasting menu is. There's no options. It's kind of like an excellent idea that you have a tasting menu that fits every guest, and you can draw from 5 courses or 8 courses or 10 courses. But all of those courses can be elements of each other.
Well, it certainly does help manage costs, I'm sure, and I think that's why so many fine dining restaurants are doing tasting menus. Why so many of them are calling them omakase now for some reason, but whether they're Japanese or not, they're calling them omakase. It's such an interesting contrast to like what's happening in the more casual realm where everybody wants to customize everything. But when you go to a fine dining place, it seems like you're ready to just surrender yourself to the creativity of the chef. Do you think that's accurate?
I think it's very accurate. And I also believe that the way that people want to eat, I mean, if Paul was sitting next to me, he might break in and say that he doesn't want to eat like that anymore. That he'd like to eat his family style. Look at the menu and order, and then everyone a selection of 3 or 4 dishes. And then you bring one big chicken to the table like you do a publican, and it's like, that's the chicken. That thing is massive, but we can see 4 of it, right? And that's how he likes to eat. And I think that's the direction of the restaurants of that publican. And I I I, I believe that that works as well as Tasty Lenny's work, as long as you can control your costs, your menu, the menu is and have menu conversions and make sure your pricing is correct, and just you have to do your due diligence more now than ever and ever. So that's what we're about.
Makes sense. I mean, yes, the marketing's challenging. The cost of everything is up, every single thing. So what is, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to, you're a private company, but what would you say is your most successful restaurant at the moment?
You know, I love that question, and it's not a secret. I believe that with the notoriety of the bear and the episodes that our Beck was in, that both of us are feeling the we're feeling the positive wind of the positive influence of Chris Storm's creation. And it's not just me, it's Kisama, it's Pequods, it's everyone. And it's also a beautiful love story to Chicago on the creation of all food in the city and all the neighborhoods in the city. And we were just lucky enough to be in season 2. And I think that that's garnered a lot of support and love. And both of those restaurants are being very well.
On your public and quality meat chef, Rob Levitt was on it too, right?
And that place, thankfully, has made a complete turnaround and is also doing well. But I wanted to say something about Rob himself. Incredible chef, not only just a butcher, but I'd worked several private dining dinners. On his menu, like, that guy could cook. Like, he's the real deal. And he's not just about meat production or salumi production. He's about menu creation. On his menus are unbelievable. Plus, just our friendship with Chef David and that great collaboration that Paul has with Chef David, and those cassoulet dinners that we sell out 5 nights in a row. It's just that place is really magical right now. It's just really, it's always been magical, but now more than ever, that place has really found its groove, and it's really magical.
Yeah, I was at a conference in Chicago right last year, and we did a little dine around, including a stop by Public and Quality Meats, and they served us the porchetta sandwich, and it's one of the best things I ate last year. It was so good. And it's wonderful, rich, satisfying, awesome.
And again, our farmers, Schlegel Farm, 90 miles from us. We get deliveries every Wednesday, and pork loin, belly wrap, and we cook that overnight. And then cook it on Greg Wade's bread, and it's like, wow, that's no you want to eat. Those nuggets, it's incredible.
Yeah, it was so good. And I've been to a number of your restaurants, and I think that the cooking has always been so, intentional and yummy. I remember the public pork rinds, which taste like Cheetos that were made by angels. I mean, they're so good.
I don't even have to do on the camera. You eat every little nuance. Thank you very much. No, those are the French fries, and we cook with beef suet. So there's no seed oil. I believe one of the reasons why those things taste so good is because that we don't use any seed oil, and we're not using anything like that to cook our food. And it's a really important factor as well. Just the intentional thought process for the chefs to really think thoughtfully about people's guts and how people want to eat.
Smart and important. In conclusion, tell me what we can expect from Walnut Hospitality in the coming months.
Yeah, more catering events for sure. more incredible bread creation from Greg Wade. We opened the spot in Oak Park, and the Oak Parkers fell in love with Greg's bread and pastries and pizza, and continued items from Greg Wade. From Rob Levitt, and then across the street, Joe Spain is just killing it at the Publican. Incredible vegetable side of the menu, incredible meat selection. All of our fish is sourced right from the farmers themselves, and that's what this company is about. Freshness, our farmer collaborations. Again, Greg has immense knowledge of seed, organic seed, wheat, grain, and those are important. So more catering, and just continued incredible product from the restaurants, and keep going. That's what we want to do.
Well, one more thing before we sign off, so that our audience knows and doesn't have to look it up. What are the one-off hospitality restaurants? Can you rattle them off?
Catering, Dove's, Greek Star, Violet Hour, Arvec, and that's River North, West Loop, Publican Quality Bread, Oak Park, Grand Avenue in Chicago, Publican Quality Meats, The Publican, Big Star Wrigley, and West Town. Got them all?
Got them all. And now our audience knows when they're in Chicago where to go check out the food.
Thanks, Bret.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Menu Talk. Like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Pat Kobe.
And I'm Bret Thorne.
See you next week.